Choose your character.
All right. Welcome back to the Geek Set Podcast, the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces, and this is 101 with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, and people that you should know. And right now, man, we have a very special guest. I'm talking about somebody who is embedded in hip hop culture, somebody who is a man of high morals and very deep wisdom. We talking to the one and only Berish, man. How are you doing?
Deuces, I think you should always intro me everywhere I go.
Hey, I would love to, man.
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic.
You know, one of the things, like, I do a lot of like research before I start these interviews, right? And the one thing that I noticed, one, is that you do not operate like a traditional CEO. And I love that about you so much because, you know, a lot of the times we see CEOs and it's like this wall that you can't get through to them, right? So they kind of become like this mythical figure. But you reach out and touch the people. You are within the culture and everything. And I want to know, like, where did that mindset come for you?
It's such a good question, and I'm still learning it. I think it's taken me a long time to feel comfortable, and I'm still learning how to be comfortable. And I think it's about, for me, it's continually about do what feels right. Do what feels like what you should be doing. Every time I try to be like somebody else, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel real. It's the passion's not there. I'm conforming to something else, thinking they're the right way to do it. When you know what? There's multiple ways to get there. And if I get there my own way, God, it feels so much better.
Yeah. And and I think that's why like so many people love talking with you because like, you said it multiple times where you're like, I don't care about the numbers. I want organic relationships. And when I see how you respect the people that you're talking to, how you and your team reach out to people, because, you got to think like creators like myself, this is a huge opportunity for us. But the way that y'all respond and reach out, it's like, okay, I'm keeping a whole beam. When the message came through, I was like, wait a minute, is this a troll? I'm still trying to figure out. And then he was like, no, we like your platform. I'm just like, yo, this is dope.
I think that I always find that that's the problem. It's like, it's the same reason why I like doing things with lots of people, because the big guys in my space, the liquor space, they do something with the top 0.00001%.
Right.
Like, come on, spread the love to lots of people.
Yeah.
Show a lot. You don't need that. You can show it to lots of people. So I don't know. I want to be that. My goal is, when I was 20 years old, had tons of ideas. I want somebody to have been like, God, you know what? That's a good idea. You should go do that.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? And I love that fact about you because all of your philosophies or the things that you say, which I thought was really dope, because you were saying like, first thing first, do what you love, right? That's a whole slogan that we actually adopted. It says it on my shirt right now, GEEK, do what you love. And how you are changing, like how the liquor, how the spirits game is, like that's kind of like the mindset that we have about GEEK, because like I would consider you, a spirit geek. Like, about drinks, and like I can say I love Belair, but you can tell me why Belair is good because of the science behind it, right? And I say that I'm like, GEEK is not just the Poindexter. Oh, let me tell you this. A geek is somebody who can go in depth about a specific topic.
And more importantly, it's passionate, it's energy, it's excitement. It's about something, but what you said about do something you love, I think for me, and I'm taking myself back in time, and for me, it was, I didn't realize how much I loved it until I didn't have anything, you know? Then you realize that it was the hard way. I wish I had that same feeling early on, but it wasn't until you took it all away from me. It's like, God, no, I really like this.
Yeah.
I like what I'm doing. So it's not always, it's not always easy to say you love something. You know, sometimes you gotta break through the other side and see it differently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and sometimes what makes you actually love it a little bit more, again, is that journey, right? Because I love the fact that, like I said, you went to Taiwan and you lived, over there for 5 years. And then you said when you came back, you still didn't even know at that point. You just had some life lessons and everything. You kind of figured out what you want to do. But it was like you went through a journey to find who you are and find what you truly love. And then here you are, sharing, the love and when you talk, people can hear it. It's like, you see the Sovereign brand and you're like, okay, well, okay, this is another liquor company. But then when you see like the guy behind it and you hear the interviews that you do, because you're invested in people's story. And I think that is the big part about it, because you have a story yourself, which is like, oh, we can dive deep into that. But you're like, wait, before we get to me, I want to know your story. And I think that has that appeal with your brand.
But I think, to add to that, I think I get pure joy out of talking to people and hearing their story, because I think I'm selfishly, I'm getting something out of it. I'm learning something about myself. I'm trying something that somebody said. I'm sharing that philosophy of what they told me to my 200 people team out there, which gets back into our brands and what our brands mean to us. Because brands to me, and I own a bunch, Belair, Bamboo, McQueen, Vion, but I always say this, they're like children and they're constantly evolving because we evolve.
Yeah.
And that's what it's fun. Bottom line is I love it. I love it. And I get to drink.
Right. And so, speaking of one of your brands, so I'm like an unofficial Belair boy, because like I constantly drink this black bottle. And but specifically when I'm celebrating something. I just went to a convention because, we're in the anime geek culture, and it was an anime convention, and one of our homies, they had a really great event. And so I'm like, oh, I want to go celebrate with them. So what I do, I went and bought them a bottle, and I bought them a bottle and said, hey, this is yours. And you talk about that oftentimes, like you start seeing people hold your bottle up like a trophy and use it to celebrate. And that I always like to get people's origin part, like especially with anime, you talk about origin, like that first time that you realized that somebody was holding your bottle as like a trophy. What was that moment like for you when you saw that?
It's like getting an autograph. If someone asks you for your autograph, it means it made me realize, because I had to take a step back and try to think, what do these brands mean to me? What do they mean? And it literally, it is a trophy. That it's that feeling that you've done something, you've created something, you passed something, you won something. It could be a moment in time, it could be a year in time, whatever it is. You're holding this, or Bamboo or any of the brands, because I did it mentality, and that's what these brands stand for.
Yeah.
I did it. And it doesn't mean just me. It can be a group of people. It can be you're celebrating with other people. But at the end of the day, I think these brands they're great. They're amazing. They taste amazing. They look amazing, but they're fighters. And that's what they mean. They're fighters.
Yeah, to go back to like your children analogy, they always say as a kid, you're going to be a reflection of your parents, right? Yeah. So just like when people was telling you, hey, you can't do the black bottle, or you got to do a brute first, right? And you push through and made those brands some of the top, if the top brand. So it's like that. It's like, as especially in hip hop, we go through the struggle so much, in podcasting, and this is like, I'm going through this struggle so much. So when I do something or I see something, I'm like, yeah, I got to celebrate, and I got to get the black bottle because I pushed through and I deserve this drink right now.
Correct. And for those who don't know, like the black bottle, which is the one you love, that's what we launched with. And when I created this and we launched it, we did something my whole industry laughed and said,
Yeah.
"You're nuts. You're not launching a brut. You're doing a rosé. You can't
Right.
do that. You put a rosé in a black bottle. You can't see the liquid. You can't compete with the Moets and Veuves." And they said we wouldn't sell anything. Today, we're the single biggest champagne in the United States.
Yeah.
So that to me is imagine encapsulating 10 years of frustration in a bottle
Yeah.
and saying to all the other people out there who were trying to accomplish something, you know what? This is a sign. This means something. You can do it.
Yeah. And here's something so like I said, I've heard you tell this story quite a bit, right? And the one thing that I hang my hat on where I'm like, yo, this is amazing about this guy is every time you tell that story, you don't ever circle back and say, and now I tell them in their face, like, hi, look what I did. Like you have a really great humbleness about you, even though you went through it. And even though you pushed through it, it's not you don't have this braggadocious bravado. You're just like, I took that and I kept on going.
No, but what I do have, and I say this now because I believe it. There's a line I've been using lately, which is I say the quiet part out loud now.
Yeah.
10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 6 years ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't say this, but I'll say the quiet part out loud. I want to kick my competitor's ass. I want to kick their ass. I want to blow away Moet and Veuve and Hendrix and the rest.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. You can have that kind of grit mentality of, there's something I'm aiming for and I want to go after it.
Yeah.
That to me is me evolving.
But but that's competitiveness, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, because it's a line between competitiveness and then being a jerk. And
100%.
you don't cross that line of jerk. It's just like, I'm gonna still be competitive. And then, again, your whole philosophy of trust your gut, because that was a gut trust. That was you saying, hey, you know what? I get it. This is not what the industry is doing, but hey, I'm going to do it anyways. And, that kind of goes into, I think that's what makes people relate to you so much. Even during this journey of what I'm doing with Black geek culture and trying to be the reporter of it, we're relying on our fan base to help us out to do this documentary that we're currently filming. We're on a year. We're doing it for a year. We're filming this documentary, and we've had a lot of people tell us like, "Oh, you can't do it this way. You can't. This is not going to work." And we're just like, you know what? I'm gonna just do it because again, once you are in the culture, you understand things that people on the outside don't see. Right? Like I've had these conversations with so many people about Black geek culture to the point where I'm like, we need to document this. So I want to be the person to do it, to tell this story. I had the fortunate enough pleasure to interview the CEO of Revolt, Tavio Samuels. And he was telling me the same thing. He was like, it's so important for people to tell the story of the people, right? Yeah. Because other people are going to get it wrong, right? So it's like when you go, it's like, you know what? I know what I want to do, and I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to live it because you guys are not seeing the vision, but I see it and I'm going to trust my gut. And I think that is the relatability to this brand, because even though it is a high brand, like it's a brand that you see it and you equate it to success, it's because that success came with a journey. And so it's like it goes full circle all the time.
I completely agree. And for those listening, that the question I always get asked is, what are the few takeaways you could tell somebody else? And it's true. It's I always tell, and it's something, again, I learned. It wasn't something mistakes is what we got me here, or trying things is what we got me here. But it's that idea that if anybody's going to screw it up, I want it to be me.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to screw up your documentary, it better be you, because if you're listening to somebody else tell you what to do, then that's their vision.
Yeah.
That's their vision. That's a hard thing to swallow if it doesn't go, if that vision isn't seen the way you see it.
Yeah. And it's also being vulnerable with yourself to be in scary waters, because it's like, when you were going through your journey, I mean, your first brand 3, you say it was a failure, but here's where I find, like, I find the nuances. You say it's a failure, but when you talk about it, you still light up. You still light up about it.
In reality, though, Deuces, I don't say that. I actually say it's my most successful brand because
Yes.
it got me here.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't, it literally, and it's a strange thing, but it's like everything, again, for me personally, it's like everything, you got to work your way through things to
Yeah.
see what the other side looks like. You got to learn hard lessons. You got to learn the mistakes, because as long as you keep learning, you're going to get better at it. And that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that about you so much, man. And I love also just like I love your out, you and your family have been doing this business for so a while. But you are very adequate of saying this is not a family business. This is a business that I got to prove myself. And I love that outlook because I think that people do fall into that. It's like, okay, yeah, my dad been doing this for so long, so it's easy for me to jump into it. But you still have your competitive brain. Like, okay, yes, this is something that my family is doing, but this is a business, and in order for this to thrive, I still got to prove my worth. I still got to prove that. I still got to make sure that I run this business, and this is not the family business. This is a business. So that mindset, where did that come from?
It uh, it can't, it's this idea that to make good decisions, you can't be tainted,
Okay.
to make quality decisions, to trust other people. I work with my brother, and the beauty, we're completely different people, completely different. But the beauty is I trust him immensely. When I have a question, I'll give him a call. When he has a question, he'll call me. But we keep our world separate. He's
Right.
got his specific responsibility. I got mine. But that's good business sense. If it's, I don't know. I believe everything has to have a real reason. It can't be, a disjointed reason where family is involved. That's not the goal. That wasn't the goal here. I want to make good decisions based on the best ideas, and that's it.
Nice, nice. So, me and you, we got a little bit of shared history because, we are out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And, so your mom was a distributor in Madison,
In Madison, yep,
but
yep.
the also, like I said, you talk about this bacon spot that you love in it was called Newskay.
Newski in Wisconsin. That's right. That's from Wisconsin. You're really
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
Newski bacon. I'm a huge bacon fan, man. I
Right.
love bacon.
There's a comedian by the name of Tahir Moore. He has this joke about all day bacon. He says that his wife will make a whole thing of bacon and put it on a plate and then like just leave it out there like like an apple basket.
Yeah.
And just all day just walk by, grab a piece.
Bacon, cold, hot. To me, bacon's the one food. If it falls on the floor a day later, you can still eat it. There's no 5-second rule.
Now, I did have a bacon vodka that I did not like.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, you can't do that.
I was like, okay, you went a little bit too far, but I love that because Wisconsin is a big brewery town.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
state, and I'm a whiskey guy myself, but it was like I love that there's roots still in them, especially with you being from New York. But it was like so I just love like that cross. I'm like, oh man, he got ties in Wisconsin and everything.
Are you kidding? Every time we go over the border, we stop at Mars Cheese Castle.
Oh, okay.
All the time. All the time.
So next time you're in Wisconsin, man, you got to hit me up, man. We got to drink or something like that.
We just bought my mom's house that her parents built, my grandparents built in Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah. And we're doing it right now. So we always have ties to Wisconsin.
Oh, that's a hop, skip, and a jump from Milwaukee, man. Right. Man, so with your dad being in the game so long, and then you coming into the game and evolving it and pushing it to new realms, what would be the biggest difference that you saw when you started to now versus outside of your company growing as big as it is, but what would be the one thing that you saw that was different from when you started to now?
Well, I'll tell you some differences. So with my dad, and he would say the same thing, he ran a giant company, and starting from scratch, starting from nothing, it's completely different.
Yeah.
So the one thing I've learned is from the thing that's consistent from the past 20 years is our philosophies of how we do business, how we treat people, how we believe in organic relationships, how I want to work with people who just think like us, who are like us, who are aggressive and hungry, who, I'm the guy who's going to call this. I'm not going to wait for somebody to reach out to me. I want to reach out to people. Like I want that same feeling. So we're building our business based on feelings like that. I want to support the retailers who support us. I want to support the accounts who support us. I want to support the distributors. I want to be the guy and I say this often now, when bad shit happens, I want to be there for people. That's my goal. Is, if you can be there for people when bad stuff happens, that's what I want, because that's a lifetime relationship there.
And this is where where people who talk the talk and walk the walk thrive, right? Because you went, there's like with hip hop specifically, hip hop gets a bad rap for a lot of things. And with your company being as big as it is, I love how you show up for certain artists, right? Like, you've been on record saying like, hey, I went to certain people's trial and I'm just like, where's people at? Or I visited this person in prison and I don't know, like, hey, I want to work with you. There's some, I think that I can help out here. And to me, that's the walk in the walk, because until you said it, nobody even knew it happened. So it wasn't like you did it, grabbed your phone, hey, look what I'm doing, I'm here. Like, no, it was through natural conversation. It came up and you were able to talk about it. But it's like, yo, you are somebody that is walking the walk of actually supporting people in ways that actually matter. It's not just a front. It's not just
because at the end of the day, it's not supposed to be a transaction. If it's a transaction, there's no relationship. That's a sad state to be in. And I don't want that. I want long lasting relationships. And you're referring to, as an example, Kodak Black. Kodak put us in a song called Patty Cake.
Yeah.
And I'd never even heard the song. Someone told me we were in this song. I'd never heard of the artist. I'm like, this is so dope. I find out the kid went to jail. I'm like, this is nuts. He did me a solid, man. He put me in a song. I got to go help the guy.
Yeah.
But like, that's supposed to, it feels good. It's the right thing to do. Yeah. But it also shows again that you gotta, there's more to life than just supporting, the top 1% of the artists. The key is support lots of different people, because you're helping them get to be there. You're getting them up there.
Yeah, no, and that, to me, like I said, it's proven. Like I said, the reason why I keep on talking about it, because one, with the whole self-made theme of what you have, that's that. Because self-made it's like everybody has this drive. Well, not everybody, but when you are one of those people that have this drive to do something, you are self-made. And sometimes you get it, you feel like there's no support, right? Or there's nobody there for you. One of the biggest moments in my life that I tell people that I've had was, I had a pleasure of sitting in front of Lenny S and playing my music for him, right? And I'm talking about played like 12 tracks for him. And he gave me some advice and some feedback on my music that, to this day, I utilize those lessons that I taught from him. But the one thing that I didn't do is I didn't say, all right, now sign me. All right, give me $1 million. And because of that, I'd like to think, I never had the conversation with him afterwards about this, but he keeps his line open to me. I can ask him stuff. I can send him stuff for feedback. I can let him know and he'll respond back. And I think that because I didn't go in that process, knowing that Lenny S can change my life. He's, A&R at Rock Nation, knowing that he can change my life, but I didn't go at him that way. He has kept that means of communication open. And so I start, when I was doing my research, hearing how you dealt with Mark Cuban and he introduced you to the biggest actor in the world, and you just want to say, hey, thank you. And then that person's like, yo, trying to get something, and you said, I'm gonna tell you how my mama would tell you. Like, I can't, but here's my number. And then people respect that, because it's like, oh, this is not a clout chaser. This is not somebody, like you said, not only looking for transactional. This is just somebody that, like, hey, I just want to say thank you for support, or whatever the case may be. So it's like, it's those lessons that we see that you talk about, that you do, that I believe that why your brand is so, it feels like a family. It feels so close because everybody that's involved, it is organic. It is like, oh, we are all in this together. And I love that with that whole self-made tag.
It's you're speaking virtue. You're saying everything that I believe in. You can't give it away. You gotta treat it as a special, whatever it is, whether it's a song, whether it's a brand like Belair Bamboo. It's keeping it real. It's making people respect you. It's you got to earn that right. You got to earn that right to get it for free. I mean, but and I think the whole self-made side still comes back to, again, at the end of the day, holding these bottles and I did something. I did it.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'd say is, and I believe this from the side of self-made is, people could look at me and say, Jesus, he's got these really successful brands. He's always been. No, that's not true. I've not always been. And the first 6 years was horrifying. Yeah. And I lost everything. So to me, it's being able to share the shitty side is more important than the success side, because that's what's going to get somebody else over the hump that, I can do this. I can make it happen.
Everybody has the stereotypical on what a black geek is. Are you familiar with the term blurred?
Blurred, no.
Right.
Some people said it came off of Scrubs. Some people said it came off the internet. I don't honestly really know.
Don't you see the skin, the eyebrows, the hair?
Yo, my geeks still rock, Dunks or Jordans or whatever.
Did I do that?
It's exciting. It's like, holy, oh, my dog is gonna start barking.
It's all right.
She's excited about it too.
And same as you said, like a barbershop talk, like we would go into really in-depth conversations about these theories and like, well, what if and how come?
It's not unusual to be loved.
Right, but we talk about anime, video games, comic books and stuff like that, but when you hear us talk about it, the passion sounds like we arguing Jordan and Bron.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Like, it sounds like barbershop talk.
Because you don't know the history, don't mean it ain't happened, dog. You broke that down right there.
But when you see the black geek, you don't see that. You see the socially awkward glasses. Well, this is me. And that's not a lot of us. A lot of us do sound and talk like us. You know what I'm saying?
Because it becomes stereotypical, as if that's where our strength comes from.
I don't know the geek that you talked about before. I know the geek you're talking about right now, though.
It was sort of a call sign so we could find each other on message boards.
Anime gives you life lessons throughout that whole thing. Like, there's not one anime that I know of that doesn't teach you to never give up.
It's just like, I just love seeing us go into the world and go into these different spaces and create things that weren't there before.
And then it was like Miles Morales is like the normal, black person in the United States.
That was my first blurred moment, was seeing, Storm on the X-Men cartoon series. And I was like, wow, that's a black woman and she's strong, she's powerful.
That's what I want for us. I want us to be that voice.
Round two. It also eliminates this came out of overnight thing, because once you, and that's why your interview series is really so dope, because you see somebody like Pretty V, that you had the conversation with, right? And some people may be like, oh yeah, man, I saw her on Wild 'N Out, oh yeah, it came overnight. But then when you hear her story and her journey on how she got there, you're like, oh, it came a long stint, it came, right? And so it's that's something I love biographies. I love documentaries, and which is one of the reasons why I'm on this journey of doing a documentary, because I want to tell people the journey of it, right? And I want to get to a point where at some point I can tell my story, where I can tell people my journey, because I think once you get invested in somebody early, or you hear their journey, when Wiz Khalifa first started, I used to watch his everyday series on YouTube before he was big, before Black and Yellow blew up, right? He was just building his fan base, but it was him vlogging on tour, going city to city, doubling up with, at a hotel with 5 people in the hotel, because that's how they had to pull together on the grind. So when I saw him blow up and become the whiz that we see today, I was like, yo, like, this is so, I felt invested. I felt like I made it.
Invested.
Like,
exactly right. You're invested.
Yeah. So
like, that's the part you appreciate. I think if most people, and what's funny though, and I'm sure you've seen this or talked to people, a lot of people don't like to talk about that. They want everyone to assume they've always had the best. They've always had it easy. They've always been the creme de la creme. Screw that. I think if you tell that gut side, that hardship side, that first, year 2 side, oh my God, that's the amazing side, because I didn't know that. I didn't know you had to do that. I didn't know, Nipsey popped his trunk in the middle of Compton and just sold his goods. I didn't know that's how he got his start. Like, those are the cool sides.
Yeah. And that's why I when people go through, like I said, your history and see, like I said, your story, like that's what blew me, because like I said, of course, with this geek culture, we love Asian culture in general, right? So then they hear like, oh wait, this guy lived 5 years in Asia. It was like, oh man, because you got to think, like, there's always themes in these animes, right? Like, there's always the drunken master. So I'm like, oh man, I wonder, did he experience something like that or anything like that? Because it's like, it's something that's engraved in that culture that I'm like, oh, because like one of my biggest dreams is to go to Japan. I want to go there and just experience the culture.
You would love it. You would love it. It's the most amazing place, one of the most amazing places in the world.
Yeah. What was one of the lessons that you learned from that time there?
It's a big question.
We can come back to it. Give you some time to think on it.
I think the one thing it taught me is, I used to, when I lived in Asia, and a lot of expatriates, people live in far off and they end up coming back. The problem with that always is, it's going to end. So you're never really planting roots. You're never really thinking you're going to be there for the long term. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think that's a difficult thing. I think it taught me that, I want to be where I want to be forever. Mm-hmm. I think you're grounded then. You have a sense of okay, from this moment on, I can do anything. It's not going to end. Yeah. I don't know. It taught me how much I want to be home. I want to be where I'm always going to be mentality.
No, I love that, man, because like, again, like it goes back to a lot of the things and the philosophies that you have, like even with how you tapped into hip hop culture, like, just again, being interested in people's stories, but making it organic. I mean, one of the first moments was, like I said, with Jay-Z and with Ace of Spades, and, Jay-Z, he, again, at that moment, Ace of Spades, like it took on Cristal. Cristal was the drink of celebration. You got a Cristal bottle, and Jay-Z changed that whole narrative with the Ace of Spades. And then it became that. It became, no, now we're doing Ace of Spades. Like, when that happened, like, I know that even though, like I said, with the partnership and then you were selling it off and everything, but like to see, again, you have these moments where you're seeing your brand, the trophy, like that relationship with Jay-Z. How is that relationship now?
Oh, it's great. I love Jay. And, but I think that it gets back to this idea that it was easy from day one, but it wasn't. It was the same thing. Ace of Spades, the same thing. The distributors, are you nuts? You're going to go at Dom, Krug, and Cristal. You're going to be more expensive than those brands. Yeah. You put it in a gold bottle. Like, come on, this is not going to work. So can you imagine, going to these billion-dollar distributors with thousands of employees and thousands of sommeliers and people, and they're saying, this is never going to work. How humiliating and debilitating that is.
Right.
But it's, you know what? Don't listen. Just keep doing your thing. Like, that's what's more special. It's knowing that no one's on your side, and you know what? It's going to work. Just watch. Those are the moments I hang on to.
Yeah. And what's crazy is all those people who doubted you or told you that it wouldn't work, all they did was turn you into a bigger ally for the people who feel that. Because that's what's so dope.
100%. It's the thing I lead with now, because I'm a believer. You can do anything. You set your mind to it, the energy behind it, you can do anything. Mm-hmm. And the key is just believe in it.
Yeah. And with everything that you've done too, and this is where I say people always have the really true connection, is because when anything is embedded in culture, then you have a deeper connection, right? So we have hip hop culture, right? You have your spirit culture, which is also, the culture of your family. Like I said, it kind of goes into it and everything. And then now, like I said, with this creator culture, I feel like like you said, your walk of life is the same no matter where, right? Because now you're tapping in with all these podcasters and all these creators. And again, same philosophy, because I think you said, when Post Malone only had one song, you were supporting him, right? Like you were like, what I'm saying? Just saying, hey, I like what you're doing, whatever like that. And, just showing that love. And so again, you have those moments where it's like, it seems like you have an eye and an ear for it.
And I can say the same about G Herbo and A Boogie with the Hoodie. And there's so many people like that, but what they all had in common was they're people I liked. Yeah. I like them. I like the people. I want to do something with them. I want to be supportive. I want to try something. At the end of the day, you can help as much as you can. It's up to them. It goes back to that self-made side. But why not? Why not work with people that you like? Why not work with people that you think have something that you want to see successful, that you want to support? Yeah. That's the fun side of what I get to do.
Yeah, and what's also fun, because you're introducing your father to genres and people that he may have not been introduced to before, or may have not had a chance to talk to, because you said that his ringtone, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it still is, but at that time of the interview, his ringtone
it still is. But I love that. He got to know everybody. My dad became best friends with DeBrat. DeBrat loves my father. You don't know how much I love DeBrat. So Chicago, right there from Milwaukee. Yep. Growing up, the biggest people that I looked up to was like Twista, DeBrat, yep, Bone Thugs and Harmony, because they was right there and I was able to relate to them. And, because this is this Midwest and everything. So I love like DeBrat. Like, she's such a dope individual and an amazing rapper. She's an icon to me. I love Brat, and we're working with her. Another person. We got a song with her and an artist we introduced her to in Africa. So we're doing big things in Africa right now.
I love it.
Trying to introduce artists in the US and the UK and France to Africa so they do more collabs. Yeah. But that all came from the brands. It all came from the brands. Yeah. We can be more than just a liquor brand. We can do more things and be involved in music and connect people, which is, again, it's something that I enjoy, and why not lean into it?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it goes to also because like you work with DJ Clue, right?
Love Clue. Yep.
Love Clue, because and again, that's you realizing who is having the conversations or who is pushing the culture or who is right there, right? And so that's the thing. Like I've been struggling to try to like get people to understand, like, hey, when you have a podcast, like you talk about pivoting. So this is where I'm going. You talked about pivoting a lot. When I first started this podcast with my team, we just wanted to talk about the culture. We wanted to say, hey, look, Black people like this stuff too. At some point, it changed to, you know what? We are not just talking about it. We want to report on the culture, because how rappers, they aspire to be at Sway's Universe or to be on a DJ Clue mixtape or be at the Breakfast Club. In this culture of geek culture, where there's cosplayers, where there's animators, where there's people behind the scenes making comic books, they don't have a hub or a place to go to celebrate, to, hey, you know what? I want to talk about this accomplishment. I want Geek Set to be that.
Awesome.
And so now I'm trying to get investors. I'm like, look, this is what we're doing. We're reporting on this culture. This is a huge culture that's untapped. All we need is some type of support so that way we can amplify these voices. Because like just how you're invested in stories, I like amplifying voices. Again, I don't care if you're big or not. If you're doing something dope and I can bring you to some people, I want to bring you to some people. So like in geek culture, one of the reasons why I was super excited about having this conversation with you is in geek culture at all these conventions, we're mixing up drinks and everything. We're making something out of these drinks. And so, I told your people, I'm going to do like a whole episode. I got somebody who's a mixologist. She's going to mix some drinks. We're going to name some anime drinks, but we're going to use your brand to do so because I said, I can't wait.
But that's us, and it's all about starting a relationship. Or I'll interview somebody. Take Pretty V as an example. I interviewed her for Self-Made, and we just connected. And she's all over me, and I loved her. And we've been working together for years now.
I love it, man.
But it starts with a conversation where you see somebody, you get what they're doing. They have their own audience. Doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter, but they have real fans.
Yeah.
Because if anything, it's more real than someone huge. Because if they're not big yet, Jesus, and they already have fans, then they're the real fans.
Well, like I said, they're invested in the journey. We just talked about being invested in the journey. By the way, that set is amazing. I was like, where you interviewed her at?
Oh, with that was my second interview with V in New York. Yeah, the bamboo set. It's amazing.
Oh my God, I was like, yo, I just want to be there. I just want to sit there and just.
Next time when you're in New York, you got to come visit and check out all the stuff we got, all our toys, plus down in Atlanta now too.
Oh, I'm actually going to be in Atlanta. In October, we're going to be down there.
Visit.
We're going to be down there for
what we're building.
Again, like I said, we're filming the documentary, and we're going down to it's called Anime Week in Atlanta. It's a big convention in Atlanta, and we're going to be filming down there. So I'll definitely hit you up and stop by and just say what's up and everything.
Love to have you.
So you've met so many people, talked to so many people. Who is somebody that you haven't met yet that you would love to meet?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'd love to, I'd love this, how Double XL does the freshman class.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to, I think it'd be to be a fly on the wall the day each of them got announced, I'd love to talk to them at that moment. Because I like moments where things could really change your life. Yeah. Like something like that's a moment, like it's still a big deal, Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think there's something to be said for not for the well-established artists, but it's that you're getting this truth and this honesty and this. I remember interviewing A Boogie, and we're in Houston, I think, and it was his first time on tour. I think the venue was 1,500 people, and he's literally nervous as shit because he's like, "Do I have any fans in Houston? I have no idea." And he had to call the venue to find out if they saw, because he thought no one was going to show up. Yeah. Sure enough, it's a sold out show. He has no concept why, like it's such an honest moment in time, and now, look how big he is today. So I like that side, that younger side of kind of before it hits.
So with something like that, because like I said, you've been around and you've seen people from the start and everything to where they're at. When people have that type of doubt, what some advice would you give somebody like that?
Realize how much you love what you're doing, because you'll get there eventually. If you just love it, it's hard. It's such an easy thing for me to say at this point. It's not about the money. Mm-hmm. But that's the key, is don't make it about that, because that'll come. It'll come. But if you just make it about what you love, you'll get there. That's it. I believe in that.
Yeah, but you know what? I get your humbleness of saying it's easy for you to say it's not about the money. But again, because you have that fly on the wall mentality of being there for so many people or seeing that, and I think that you can say it, and people are not going to say, "Well, oh, look at him," because like I said, you don't come across as somebody who's faking the funk. And I want to make sure I reassure you with that, because I get it, man. Like, what I'm saying, you're in a position where you're like, yeah, things are going well. But because of your passion for people, again, going back to the roots of who you are, your passion of people, I think that it's okay when you say stuff like that and that advice and people listen. Like, even I forgot what interview it was, but you had a whole room of, it looked like college students that was hanging on you everywhere when you told the story about Mark Cuban, and you was telling, that celebrities are not going to make you famous. And it's because of that. It's because your story, even though, your father was in this business, you still went on a journey.
And it goes back to that word pivot, or that's one way to describe it, it's because that story comes from years earlier. I would have done the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, I learned my lesson. I can't do that anymore. I shouldn't be like this. This is not the way to do it. Yeah. It's the same reason when Jay asked to see his team asked for a bottle of Ace of Spades, I said, forget it. I'll show it to him, but I'm not going to give it to him.
Right.
Like, come on, it costs a lot of money. Why should I do this?
Yeah.
So I think it's respect your craft and make other people appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that that's going to continue to go with the people that you interact with and everything like that. So I got to ask you, because we always do this in everyone, we do like a top 5, and I always try to get a little bit intricate with it, and I want to get, for you've lived a long life. You lived a very storytelling style life. It doesn't have to be in order, but what are some top 5 moments in your life, in your walk of journey?
Top 5?
It doesn't have to be in order, and it could be currently, because I know that is going to change, but it can be currently off the head if you have to pick 5 moments.
When my mom, when we had investors and they wanted to wind up the company, and my mom said she'd sell all her rings for me if it would help keep me going.
I love that.
That would be one. And I'm just talking business stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we can talk business stuff. Just business stuff.
One. God, this is tough.
I ask the tough questions, man.
5 moments. It's a lot of moments. This is a common moment I have all the time. The next brand, it doesn't exist yet. I'm so excited for it. So I'm more excited about the stuff that's not out yet, where I'm looking forward to it. When I get an email from somebody who just absolutely speaks who we are and what we are and is thankful. I just got an email from an intern who just left for the summer, and they wrote how this was the greatest job they've ever had. They would love to continue this, that they learned so much in comparison to school. Mm-hmm. Like that just, it feels amazing. When anybody knows our brand, I still get the chills. If someone recognizes or knows the brand, I think is amazing.
All right, one more. Bring it home.
God. One more. When I think when I knew how much I loved this business, I went to see my father get honored from the University of Florida. And I was like 10 years old. And there was about 20,000 people in the stadium, all the graduates and their parents. And they made the head of, they said they honored the head of JCPenney. Mm-hmm. And he stood up and they said, his family's here. And they clapped. And then they said, and now the chairman and CEO of Jim Beam, Berish. Mm-hmm. And no one clapped. And then it hit them, all the students that an ex-Florida graduate runs a liquor company, Jim Beam, and the place went insane. And I was there. I was the only one there for my family. And then they said their family couldn't be here, but his son Brett, and I was 10 years old, and I got a standing ovation. I'm like, God, my dad is cool.
Yeah. You know what I love about those 5 moments, and I know, like I said, there's a lot that you can pull from and everything, but I love that the 5 moments that you explained was, one, it was from just love of what you're doing, but then it was also the people and ideas. And again, like, to me, if I'm working for a company, or if I'm talking to a CEO, I'd rather the CEO have moments where they're invested in people versus I'm all about, when the Mavs held my stuff up, or when like even though those are accomplishments, your top 5 or the ones that came to you were people, and the people that helped make the company what it is. And that's the culture of your company. I love that so much.
I love my team. I love my family. It's amazing.
So when it's all said and done, man, what do you want your story to be? Again, like I said, I always revert back to comic book origins and the overall arc of it. What do you want the story of Brett Berish to be?
It's funny. I don't think about it from my perspective. And my brother always said the same thing. It's not about us. It's about the brands. The story is, as long as these brands exist for the next 100 years, that's the story. You know, I want to make the best possible products in the world in their respective categories, and they're going to live forever. That's my goal. That's always been the goal, and it's never changed. It's not, I think I live through the brands, but it's not about me.
Yeah. All right. So the last segment that we have, it's a recommendation. I like to give our viewers and our listeners something. It could be either something that you're watching, you're reading, you're listening to, but something that you think our viewers should check out from you.
From me?
Like your perspective. It could be something, just any type of recommendation.
That's a good one. Well, I'll tell you one I want to watch that I was told about, which I think is amazing, is there's a Netflix series on F1, Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Behind the Something. But this one show has caused Formula One an increase in Formula One attendance more than anything else, F1 or any advertising or anything anybody's ever done before in terms of F1.
Right.
Show that they didn't put out, they didn't produce. I'm dying to watch because it's about the people behind the scenes. And I think that's amazing. I think it just shows that you can do things differently to get a bigger result. And that's, to me, that's the key of everything I try to do, is you don't have to think the same way as everyone else. You could do things differently. So I want to watch this show.
Oh man, I love that, man. Again, I can tell your interest because, again, like you said, they are not thinking like everyone else, or they're changing. So it goes back to your origins. You're like, hey, I don't approach this game the same way as everybody else thinks. So you're interested, and again, in the mind of people who think otherwise.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, why did this work? What did they do? Because I think to me, it gets back to, and I always say this about artists and songs. If you ever ask an artist what their best, most commercial hit song, did they think it was going to be successful? 99% will say no.
Yeah.
They hated it.
You know, the analogy for podcasting, every podcast that I had where I'm like, oh, this is going to be the one that throws me through the roof. It wasn't it. And then, but you know what? It goes back to the people. I interviewed Gail Beans, the actress. She's in Snowfall. She's now in P Valley. Her interview, me and her, we talked about her origin, talked about her growing up, her family, and that has the most engagement. I'm talking about comments, views, everything. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, and so is that.
This is why you just got to put shit out there. You got to just try stuff. Try. Every day I want to try new things because you never know.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, man, I'm going to continue to be the unofficial Black Bottle Boy. Like I said, this is my drink, but I'm excited to try this. This is what we're going to do. This looks so amazing.
This is the #1 premium rum in the world. You're going to absolutely love it. Just try it on the rocks.
I will. And then my mom, she's a big gin person. So
she's going to fall in love with McQueen. That's McQueen, the Violet Fog.
I tried that one.
She will fall in love with it.
Now this, I'm not for sure. I haven't. I don't know much about this one.
This is Vion. It competes in the cognac category. If you like cognac, you'll never go back to any other brand but Vion.
Okay, because I do love Douce, and so
try Vion.
Now I've had all of these Belairs. Now the one that I didn't try that I'm going to look out. I haven't tried the blue bottle yet.
Did you? You got it. It's amazing.
They didn't send me.
It's amazing. We got to get you one. The taste is amazing. The color is like a supermodel. It'll make you look. It just makes you look good.
Yeah. No, but like I said, yeah, man. Like again, your brands, unofficially, like it is always my go-to to celebrate with that. I have no other option for it. It's like that is mine. When I like, if everything goes well with my documentary, then I'm gonna show up with that. Listen here, I'm behind the scenes. I'm working on something that I hope goes through. That's gonna put me on a bigger platform. I'm popping this bottle and everything. Like,
let's do it.
It's stuff that I'm working on, man. But where can my people find you at?
If it's, let's use Instagram, official Belair, Original Bamboo, McQueen the Violet Fog, Vion France, or Brett Berish, CEO.
Awesome. Well, okay, this is One-on-One with Deuces. I've been your boy Deuces. This has been the most insightful man in the world, Brett Berish, and we are out. Peace.
Thank you, Deuces. Take care, everybody.